Episode 26 of Minor Disturbance Radio or podcast or whatever you want to call this thing. I'm going to go with podcast because I feel comfortable with that. But here we are again. It's me, Travis, and this time we got Covert with us.
That's right.
Which is cool. It's always cool when you show up, man.
I missed a couple.
Yeah.
Make it sound like I miss all the time.
You do. You miss all the time.
Part-timer.
Yeah.
Wow. We were discussing, Brian and I were discussing your lack of belief in the prog.
Wow.
In the,
when I'm gone,
project.
you put a potato head right in my seat.
Yeah.
That MDR tattoo you have on your ass doesn't mean anything anymore.
Doesn't count.
Right.
Them are the early days. That's when you showed up every time.
Well, you mentioned that you were more comfortable with podcast, yet MDR is what you say. Like MDP, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. You know.
I know. That's why I just keep it
MDR, but then call it.
And plus, I can't afford new banners and everything because I figured I could just get tape and cover it up and then just write podcast on it.
Exactly,
That'd be pretty funny. Anyway, so it's pretty exciting. I know that this isn't going to matter to you at all, Travis, but it's fucking football season and it's exciting. I love it.
Yeah. How many games in are we?
We're on game 4.
Okay.
So we're 4 weeks into the regular season, and I know you don't even care about football at all.
All right, I'm just going to check out mentally now.
What I want to talk about is the fact that some guys like me, that are fans of the Washington Redskins, and you have your team, you're the Cowboys fan.
Right.
My brother is a Bears fan. Anyway, why is it, and I know it's for me, I don't know if it's like this for everybody, but I bet it is, when you're watching your team get fucking destroyed,
yeah,
you have a bad fucking night. It's like hard to pull out of it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't even talk sometimes. I just sit there and go, really? Really? You take it serious as shit?
Yeah.
I've gotten better. I've gotten better about the team and how I react, but it still does bum me out. But I used to get absolutely upset. I still watch football, but I would be pissed. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to talk to nobody.
That's how serious it is.
Really?
I'm telling you, there's dudes out there watching this right now. They're like, yep. Well, say if they're a Packers fan and your team's on Thursday Night Football. It's the only fucking game on, okay?
Yeah.
It's the only game on TV. And they come out
watching.
And fucking one of your dudes gets knocked out cold, like this, fucking knocked out.
Yeah.
And they had to cart him off the field, and they're carting us off left and right. We're like, fucking busted and throwing.
And you lose by 34 points.
Our quarterback threw 4 interceptions and 8 passes.
Shit.
Out of 8 passes, 4 of them were fucking picked off. And you're watching this happen, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of the other 31 teams, it was awesome.
Right. Yeah, somewhere there's a Dallas faggot.
You're right.
Okay, all right.
See, that's what I was doing because I remember you jumping in my face.
Oh, man.
Pointing at me and saying, eat that shit.
The first thing I do if the Redskins lose is I check to see what the Cowboys did that day.
Yeah.
And the Bears.
Yeah.
I check to see if the Bears lost and the Cowboys lost. If we all lost, then nobody says a word.
That's right.
It's like Facebook is silent.
Yeah, right.
Chirp. But if it's just the Packers take it in the ass right on Monday Night Football in front of everybody, or if the Bears take it in the ass, man, they're rah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, where does this come from? I just keep my mouth shut because the Redskins ain't won a game in 25 years. So I just assume the worst and sit in the back, try to stay out of it.
Exactly, because you know you don't really have a dog in that.
So did your hangover carry over to the next day though, or?
Well, that's my point. Is it does for me? It's still like a day and a half. Because you got to do the night of and listen to your phone bling, 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 bling. And you're like, fuck off, everybody.
You got served.
And then the next morning you check and what everybody said about it,
right.
Wow,
face the music.
That was an ass kicking, and everybody's saying that that was embarrassing.
I'll bet you feel terrible about yourself right now.
Will you watch football on Sunday?
This Sunday?
Yeah. Since your team's not playing.
Yeah, oh yeah. I still love to watch football.
Will you still be butt sore because your team got smoked?
Well, they'll be talking about it on every game. I bet you. They'll be like, well, this isn't as bad as the Redskins Thursday. How they were completely horrible. So what I'm saying is it's a sports team that we have nothing to do with. It's not like we operate it or we control what that team does at all.
That sounds exactly like the narrative that I was having when I listen to you guys talk about
But when I pick the team, there's some sort of loyalty to that somehow people like us get embedded in that and we become part of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's part of us. And so when it gets beat, we're beat.
Sure. But I mean,
does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
We do it with music and genres too. I mean, it's the same phenomenon. When you identify in your own mind psychologically with some group, isn't it like if you could be all right with your team losing, that would kind of be like selling out. You know what I mean? Like you can't be okay with that.
Well, in order to be a Redskins fan, you have to get used to that.
Yeah, right.
And there's always that you wait 10 years from now when nobody cares anymore and I'm not on Facebook because I'm too old to be on Facebook. Right. The Redskins are going to go to the Super Bowl and they're going to win.
They are.
And I'm going to get a Facebook account and open it up and be like, suck my dick.
It's going to be titled Redskins Win.
I told you it happened again. Because there's teams that go through that right now the Redskins are they're not even a talk of being
they have one
in the NFL. They're like almost like a college team.
But 2 years ago they had the big blip with RG3, and that was about it for a while.
Right, when they drafted a guy first round draft, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. We got we gave up a lot of shit for that, and so we get this big star player that's going to save the team.
Right.
Okay, and he comes in and he blows his ACL.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then he's out for an entire season, just about. And then he's coming back this year. He's gonna he's finally healed. He's gonna come back, and it's gonna be RG3 is gonna be back.
This is it.
And the first game, he broke his ankle.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
I ain't shitting you.
No, that's terrible.
And then they put in the second string quarterback that they probably paid $50,000 for.
Drafted, I think, 2 rounds later, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, so they got this guy to come in, and he starts dropping bombs and throwing like fucking 80-yard passes and nailing receivers, and it's like, RG who?
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so that was the excitement. Then everybody's like, wow, they paid $100 million for this RG. And then they got this. And I was even on that. I was like, fuck RG.
Yeah.
He was breaking.
Until last night.
You can't have a quarterback that breaks every single time you play football.
No, you really can't. You're right.
It really wasn't even a weird play. It was just, I think, setting a pass.
I just think he's jinxed, man. I think that somebody upstairs, if there's an upstairs, said, it just ain't going to happen for you, RG.
Well, kind of on the subject of, the meta subject of all of it, you did the thing. You did the thing that I think is what makes it so that you're truly invested. You used the word we. And I hear this all the time when I listen to people talk about football. They don't say they when they're talking about their football team. They say
we take ownership.
We take ownership.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what makes it so that you have that investment of your identity
Unless
in it,
you're completely disgruntled with that team, then all of a sudden it's they.
Well,
they suck.
Well, my brother, and when I say brother, by the way, friends that watch this, if you even care, Brian doesn't really have a brother, but my sister's husband, I consider him a brother. He's super cool to me. I've always looked up to him, and he's finally moved back. They went in the Air Force and went all around.
Wow.
And like right out of high school, basically, he just disappeared for years and years and years. I saw him every once in a while, my sister and my niece and all that. And they moved back to the Quad Cities. He's retired now.
Oh, okay.
So, and we like to compare notes, like, because he was a guitar player. And he was actually one of the first guys that I played around outside of my bedroom.
Oh, right.
This is how it went. Try to put yourself in this situation. You're 14, okay, and your sister's 16. She's going to high school and got these high school friends that are in bands, and they're cool. Wade Torres and all these guys, and Hunter, my sister's husband, was around that crowd, knew them guys. Was playing in bands with them in garages and shit, and jamming. And he'd have a bandana on back then, and he was earring and shit. It was cool. It was rock and roll, We all were like rock and roll guys.
Right.
And I didn't know if I was any good or not. And my sister told Hunter, hey, my brother plays guitar too. And Hunter's, is he any good?
Nah.
He was like, well, can he come over and jam with you? He'd like to jam with you. I guess.
Right.
And so I showed up, and I guess I impressed him.
Yeah.
He told my sister, he's like, your brother's fucking good, man.
I've always been on the outside looking in on all of that shit, though, man.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what I even at this point in the game, being involved in televised sports, I do actually occasionally watch, and I actually can bring myself to enjoy it. I mean, there are some complications to the games and things like that sometimes, will get me excited, but I just have never really invested in a team. The closest I ever came was the 85 Bears. Because everybody went crazy and started doing the Super Bowl shuffle down there in the trailer park.
Right.
We try not to remember that shit.
Yeah, right.
I don't. I think that was hilarious. That was almost comical.
It was.
With the fridge and all that, and I'm doing that.
Totally, man. It was like it was
cute, but I never want to see the Redskins do that.
It turned into it's almost like they turned into cartoon characters.
Right.
You know what I mean? They turned into action figures, and some of them actually did. There was William the Refrigerator Perry was actually a G.I. Joe at one point.
Did not know this.
Yeah, he actually was a G.I. Joe character at some point. Yeah. So very, very strange times.
Yeah.
football heroes as, action heroes.
I guess I'm intrigued by how that infiltrates our lives, because I'm watching this game and I'm sitting there feeling that, and I look at they do the Goodyear blimp view of the stadium, and it's packed full of people up to the brim, all the way up to the lights, just a big circle of massive flesh. And all them people probably paid $200 a ticket, possibly, a home game like that.
Right.
Thursday night football. And I'm just thinking of how big of a business it is and how many people love it. I mean, we talk about it all the time like it's something that's just so prevalent in society and accepted.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Well, imagine how big it got. How big that game got.
Dude, a friend of Chris Ermey's just got season tickets, and you have to buy the seats, and that's before you actually pay for the tickets themselves. And it was like $30,000.
Oh my God!
Just to get the seats.
Yeah.
But the way they work it, the people that can afford to get the seats, they then sell their tickets in order to pay for it.
Oh yeah, stub. They have a ticket stub thing where you sell your tickets, or like a timeshare.
Sure, and then you just keep the tickets that are the games you want to go to, and those are really essentially the ones that you pay for. You play your cards right, and those tickets might end up being either free or at an extremely reduced rate.
Yeah,
depending on how well the team does, things like that. So
right.
I was going back to what I was saying about imagine how you felt. Like last night, you're watching the game, first quarter, second quarter, whatever, and you see all those people in the stands. They spent all that money, and you go see that game.
Oh yeah, and the camera pans around in front of everybody at home, and they're all standing like this.
Yep, looking pissed.
Yeah. You know what I mean? The fucking stadium's quiet, and the
Yep.
You just know there's no
dude with his face painted. He's pissed.
Yeah.
Like,
chili dog sales are way down. Like way down.
They had that on Madden football where you could own a football team, and I did that. Right. And like at one point I won so many Super Bowls, like a slice of pizza was $50. You know what I mean?
That's
and I still had good they still bought it.
No kidding.
Yeah. If you put that thing on rookie, you could fucking do anything.
No shit.
Yeah, you win every game and fucking go to the Super Bowl and win like 8 Super Bowls in a row and like charge $25 for a bottle of water.
That's too funny, man. Some of those games were, crazy realistic simulations, and some of them were not so realistic simulations. The one I always remember everybody playing, not to totally veer off, was a game for the Nintendo Entertainment System called Tecmo Bowl. That's the one everybody played.
I love Super Tecmo Bowl.
Super Tecmo Bowl. Yeah. Now, was that for the Super Nintendo?
No,
that was for the NES.
That was the next installment.
It was just the next installment.
That blows my mind, because I go back to the first computer football game I've ever played, which I had at my house. We had the Intellivision.
Oh yeah, dude.
You might have had the name brand, the Atari stuff.
No.
But Intellivision was like for the rich people, because their shit looked like a piece of furniture.
Yeah, it was more expensive.
It had like wood veneer on it. Yeah,
right.
So it didn't get obtrusive. You could use it as a coffee table too.
The graphics actually were a little bit nicer than the Atari.
They figured out the running this thing instead of the square.
Yeah, that's right.
Moving.
That's right.
So Atari would be like this square thing was your player, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And Intellivision figured this out.
Had a little dude that was right.
They had like 8 squares and some of them moved.
Right. Yeah.
And so we were ahead of the curve.
That's right.
They had the running man, and it always did that too. It ran like this.
It just ran constantly, even if it was just standing there. It was always running.
So our football game was, you put in a play and you do what you got to do, and the football is a white dot.
That's right.
Okay, and it doesn't have this trajectory. It doesn't arch. The passes just go straight across the field, and if anybody's between the dot and the other dot,
it was an interception.
Yeah, so what I would do, because I used to drop back all the way, and I'd run all the way back to the other 1 yard line, and then I would just press the button, bing, and that white thing would just go down the field like 100 yards, and then I'd try to get somebody in front of it.
So it was totally realistic.
Oh yeah, totally realistic.
Yeah, in television. Yeah, I remember it in television. The other one was the ColecoVision. I don't know if you ever saw that one. They actually had the best version of Donkey Kong on that one. So that was.
I loved Donkey Kong when it was around.
That was the claim to fame on that system.
I like Space Invaders, or Space Armada was the cheap version of it.
Right.
You guys had Space Invaders on the good Atari. We had Space Armada.
Space Armada, yeah.
Same thing though. The fucking ships go across, bing, like a typewriter.
That's right.
If you don't shoot them quick enough, then they fucking get your.
Right. And as you reduce their numbers, they get faster.
Oh yeah, and then you get a saucer that goes across the top. Sometimes it's impossible to hit.
Yeah, right.
But you can just arc it through there, bing, bam, and you had that nailed too.
Yeah.
Like 9-year-old kids in there.
Totally.
Our controller was a disc.
Yeah.
I thought it was, yeah.
Like a disc.
It was a disc.
And then like side buttons.
Right, but then you also had a keypad.
Yeah, the keypad in the middle.
And then the buttons were on the side. Yeah. And they had a coily wire.
What was yours? Just a joystick with a button on top?
No button on top. Button was on the side. Oh, okay. So you would cramp your thumb trying to fucking get, and you'd have to get in there. And some people, they couldn't hit the button right, so they were like turning the controller upside down and doing some weird gimpy thing in order to try to like be able to hit the button with a different finger. I mean,
do you still have your old system?
I have it. I think my mom has it packed up somewhere so dusty it probably doesn't even work.
Yeah.
At one point the Intellivision had voice.
Yeah.
And that was groundbreaking. Like it made a voice come out of it. Like it was B-17 Bomber was the game.
Cool.
And it would say bombs away or something like that. And you're like, holy shit! It said something, man.
Talk to me, man.
Yeah, it just said something.
Cool. Yeah.
And then they had a keyboard that you could hook up. And this is in the 80s, late 80s, man.
Yeah.
They had a keyboard you could hook up to it and type stuff.
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
But you couldn't. It didn't do it. You could just type in there and then like, okay, that was fun, and that was super cool to be able to do that.
Yeah. You could
like before home computers.
It's not like you basically
had a home computer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, we kind of did have an actual home computer in the early 80s. I think the Intellivision came out in like 81, 82. It was actually a Mattel product.
Yeah, it was.
It was when
Dungeons and Dragons was badass.
Right, dude. And
did he just say that?
You know how you're going through the caves and it just, as you go through it, like opens up the shape of the, like, you're looking at it linear. This guy's doing this, and then this bing, opens up as he goes, and then you can hear like,
right.
Oh, there's a dragon in there probably, you know what I mean? So it's so stupid. And I would get like, this is so awesome.
Oh, amazing.
And I was like, what if they ever made a game that you felt like you were actually in the cave and it looked like you're in? Right. And now I'm at 41 years old on my couch, but play Call of Duty like, this is fucking awesome. Games are fucking awesome now.
They are. They are. I mean, do you remember the first time you played like...
these kids are spoiled.
Yeah.
In fact, they're so spoiled on good video games that they don't even really like video games anymore. They're just like, video games boring.
Well, what's funny, Minecraft, have you seen that?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that is so old school technology.
But
kids love it.
Oh, and Minecraft.
You're right.
I mean, it's basically...
I'm not aware of... I know what that is. I've seen it. I'm like, what are you playing? Because I'd be at like a family thing and there'd be the younger people would be playing that. And I'm like... It's like that looks stupid.
It's like
you could build whatever you want in this thing.
It's like the same graphics as like Wolfenstein 3D. If you ever played that,
and they have the merch in the stores where it's all like pixelated.
Exactly,
looking.
It's very pixelated.
Like old school or something.
Yep. And that's kind of where things are at. That people are starting to realize that. And we didn't get this at the time. We just thought that if it had better and better graphics, that meant that the game was better and better. But people are starting to realize that some of the most playable games of all time have already been made, and the graphics kind of suck, but they're super fun to play. There's something about the way the gameplay works that just is better than stuff that looks all photorealistic or whatever.
I really sometimes would rather play the old NES system.
I'm with you, man. I
really would.
I am an owner of an NES, and
I had a Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo thing had like a Wave Racer.
Oh, you're talking about the N64.
I think so.
Yeah, the N64.
It was a console.
That was the first one that they did that had 3D rendered graphics. Not to say like it looked 3D, but it actually, the gameplay was based on.
It was fun as fuck.
Models. Yeah,
shit,
fun.
They're still. Yeah, I'm pissed at Sony because you went and bought the PlayStation. When it came out, right? And then you bought the PlayStation 2. And then you're like, all right. The PlayStation 2 played the PlayStation 1 games too.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
And so you're like, cool, all these 52 games that I have, I can still play them.
Well, now...
I'm not done.
Correction. And then the first version of the PlayStation 2 played the PlayStation 1 games.
Oh,
but then when they came out with the Slim, they cut that off. And made it so that you couldn't play one.
They got wise. And then the PlayStation 3 wouldn't play any of the backlog games.
Right.
None of them.
That's right.
You couldn't go backwards compatible at all. So all them games that you bought for $60 a pop are now dead unless you want to keep that console too.
Yep.
Which I did for a while. I had the PlayStation 2 still because I had a couple games on there I couldn't give up, man. You know what I mean?
I still have my PlayStation 2 also.
Yeah. Now the PlayStation 4 won't play any of the old
PS4,
stuff.
nope. It's right out. At this point, if you want to play those old games, what they have you do is actually buy them in their online store, and they're these reworked versions of the games that will
good as the original, though.
I agree. A lot of those games for PS2 were amazing.
Make no mistake, I am no video game. I'm no gamer. Oh, you know what I mean? I get my old ass on and I'm telling you, I got to stop doing it. I got to stop doing it.
You got to stop playing games?
I got to stop, dude, because I get so fucking pissed off. I get so mad, and I'm not trying to be funny, man.
No, I know you're not.
I find myself going, Brian, you're really letting this get. They don't even know who you are, dude.
Right.
But it still sucks when you get killed by somebody, and then you get spawned again. You get killed again, and then they sneak up behind you and ball sack you while you think that you're hiding, and then stab you in the back of the head. You're like, motherfucker. And just stupid things happen. Like, I see that motherfucker. He's running up on you, and you try to stab him, and he shoots you in the dick, and whatever. Or they drop down and shoot you. It's like they're so good at it.
They're great at it.
They jump in the air and shoot you while they jump over the top of you and shoot down at you.
Sure.
And I'm still trying to figure out where he's at, So I get my ass kicked on there a lot by dudes that are just way better than me.
Sure.
And they're fucking like
9.
Yeah. One was like, "Hey guys." Because I have it set so you can hear the voices through, and I'm like, and I looked at his thing, and it was like he was like the highest rank. He's played every level. He's prestiged 1,000,000 times, and he's done. He's got the X, and it's like he's the badass.
Right.
And he just wasted everybody. The object of the game is to get just 8 people on this map, and you've got to kill somebody 30 times first. Like the first one to kill 30 people. Is the winner. And so, you could get killed 29 times too.
Sure. We had deathmatch games like that.
It's a free-for-all is what it is.
Sure. Quake and what was the other one? Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, those are kind of
And so the terminology in Call of Duty land, I'm sure that there's some people that know what I'm talking about. It's like there's your running gunners,
right,
and then your campers.
Campers, dude. Fuck the campers.
No, fuck you, man.
Fucking camper. You're a fucking camper?
I am absolutely
I'm
a camper.
I'm not friends with you anymore, dude.
I will...
Fuck the campers.
No, the camper thing, let me explain this. What happens is you find a corner of the map where you have nothing that can come up behind you.
Right.
And you just wait for shit to fall into your trap and shoot it as it goes by. And basically what you're doing is you're getting people while they're going to the hot spot.
Right.
They're on their way to the hot spot.
Yeah.
And you're sniping them from your camping position.
Totally.
That's what I used to do with combat.
Yeah. So you're staying out of the fight.
Like for Atari? Is that what you're talking about? Holy shit, dude.
It was getting intense with you guys, so I had to back it up.
Yeah, not only, well, you know what, Combat is a pretty great video game, but, that was the one that came with the Atari.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, everybody fucking hated that game.
So I'm a camper. You're a running gunner?
No, I'm just I actually I suck so bad at those games. Yeah, I don't play, but we used to play those fighting games. That was kind of like before the whole first person shooter thing really started happening. We used to play fighting games like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or whatever. And you'd always get so mad because you'd sit there and try to perfect the techniques of it or whatever, and then you play like your little cousin or something, and he would just button mash and fucking destroy you.
Yeah.
It would make you so mad because
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
My wife does that to me all the time. She picks this one same bitch that will go pat pat with her legs and like kick your fucking and you can't. And once she gets you locked in that combination, you can't get out of it. You're pressing everything, trying to get out of it too,
and
like
do nothing.
And you're going and then pretty soon you're like finish him, and then she just goes because she don't know a finishing move. You know what I mean?
She do the same move.
Finish him, remember?
Bap.
And she went, I'm like, instead of like reaching out, pulling the head out of the spine, she didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, man. No, I don't know. I never could figure those games out. I tried, like my shit, and I realized that this is like the side of things that you're either kind of on this side of things or you're not. My side of things is more like platform games, like Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that. Or Tetris, like puzzle games where you gotta figure things out with your brain and organize things and try to Tetris.
I was, believe it or not, we talk about being really good at a game, right?
Yeah.
Before there was internet, there was a few games that I thought that I remember sitting there thinking, man, I don't think there's anybody that can play Pitfall like me. I really don't. As a matter of fact, I took a picture of my high score and sent it to Intellivision.
There it is, dude.
Did you really?
Right there.
And they said that they like sent me a shirt and shit, and they said, pretty good, boy.
Really?
But the highest score is...
Right. Oh yeah.
Oh, I ain't shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you get good at a game. You think you're good at some PlayStation game. You go online and start playing against all the other people.
Right. Even the other thing you can do, and this kind of is like, we've talked about how you can get guitar shamed. You know what I mean? Like if you think you're good at playing some certain something, you can go online and find the little Japanese girl that'll fucking destroy you.
Right.
Well, you can do what are called speedrun videos, and speedrun videos are for games that are one player or maybe two player. And what it is it's just a video of somebody playing that game as fast as possible from beginning to end, and they know all the tricks and secrets, and the shit just looks fucking impossible. I do not know how people are this good at the game. Like Pitfall is one of those games. You can go on YouTube and find a Pitfall speedrun, and you will see them get every single treasure.
You know what Brian's doing tonight.
They know how to cut.
I don't. It's on a television. I haven't played it forever.
Right. Well, and Atari too, because we had it for Atari. In fact, that is the best-selling cartridge of all time for Atari.
Is Pitfall?
Yeah, Pitfall.
I didn't think they had it on Atari. I thought it was special. I thought it was exclusively to a television.
It actually came to Atari first. David Crane, the guy that was one of the founders of Activision, which is a company that makes that cartridge, he was actually a former Atari employee, and he left the company because he wanted to get royalties for the software that he was designing, and he got told by management, this was after the founder of Atari had sold the company, he got told by the new management, look, you're no more important to these video games being made as the person assembling it down in the factory. And he was like, not true. That's false. So
that's a false statement.
That's a false statement. So he and his buddies, man, that were engineers at Atari, they quit and started making, and that's really what kind of launched the whole idea of having game design companies.
With Intellivision and Atari, you had to play the fucking game until you got to the top, and then if somebody said it was dinner time, you had to shut it the fuck off.
That's right. There was no pause.
There was no pause and no save.
Nope. No save, no pause.
Or if your sister went by, they could just like pull the plug.
Dude, when Nintendo came out and it had the start button, and we realized that the start button let you pause games, I knew there were kids that were fucking sitting there with Castlevania on like the fifth level. They finally made it to the fifth level, and that shit was on pause for a week.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sitting there with the fucking...
And then the power went out.
Yeah, dude. Yep. And devastation set in, dude. I just cannot beat the fucking Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
How do I beat the Grim Reaper?
Once they came up with games that if you died at a certain... Because on Space Armada, if you died, you have to fucking start over.
You start it over. Yeah.
You can't... It won't start you like at the level right below it again, right? Like in a video game like that what we have now. If you die... like 8 missions in, it don't take you to the first mission again.
Well, the first one for us was The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda was the first cartridge that had the little battery backup in there, that made it so that you could continue your game later, which was revolutionary. I mean, we were just crazy. The other thing that kind of came out around that time was the use of the password. Right? Yes. Where the game didn't have a battery backup, but it did have these like codes that you could put in to make it so you could start at the place where you left off.
So you'd write down the code and forget where you put it.
Yeah, dude, you'd be so pissed. And it was also the beginning of when people started to realize, I can sit there and fuck with this code until it finally does something, and you could actually hack your way into other parts of the game and things like that. So, for a lot of us, that was our first kind of entree into hacking, like trying to fucking
And how did who come across that idea of like the ABBB whatever for Mario Brothers to get like 100 lives? I mean, seriously, who come up with that?
I think that the first game that actually worked on was from Konami. That was the Konami code initially, and it was a backdoor that made it so that the developers of the game had a way to get through some of the more difficult levels by giving themselves some more lives. I think the first game that used, I could be wrong about this, somebody out there in TV land, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the first game was a game called Gradius. And Life Force was kind of like Gradius, and you could use the code in that to get 30 guys. And then, of course, Contra. Which Contra was the game that we all played, that we started jamming in that code to get 30 guys and make it to the end. And Contra is one of those games where, like, you just get up and beat it, make yourself feel good, you know what I mean? Get up, I whooped the shit out of Contra 6 times and I went into work, you know what I mean? Like, I was eating some cereal, fucking beat Contra a couple times, go to work,
I think that's a fan favorite.
Yeah,
listen, nowadays though, there's nothing like, okay, you get beat at something. You were talking about like the whole mentality of being beaten, like with football and stuff, but if you're playing that realistic of a video game now and you're playing the game like, I don't know, UFC,
Oh, okay.
And you're in a cage fist fighting their character, and they're doing things to you that you didn't know that you could do. Like, you're like, all right, I'll fight online with this dude. Who's this dude? And then you get in a fight, and like literally 10 seconds later, you're in some sort of submission you've never seen.
Right.
And you kind of feel like a white belt at a black belt jiu-jitsu tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how the fuck? Because I just beat all the levels on extremely hard.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
and then I went online and fought this guy, and they know some different shit than I know.
Totally.
Somehow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I thought I knew. I was like, I'm going to kick somebody. I'm going to feel bad for these poor kids because I'm pretty fucking good at this. You know what I mean?
Well, in the early days.
Reality sets in.
Yeah, right. But you know what else, too, though, is in the early days of online, internet type death match stuff where people would be pitted against each other across the networks, people figured out how to hack the servers and make it so that they could do things that other people couldn't do. And you didn't know whether they were just really good or if they were cheating. So they set up what were called pure servers. A pure server was a server that didn't allow any cheats or hacks, and there was somebody that administrated that server to make it so that supposedly you had an equally level playing field. So
okay, this is what pissed me off.
Yeah.
The last time.
All right.
Okay, so I'm sitting there camping in a corner, right?
I hate you.
Because you
I hate you fucking campers.
If you get like 2 kills in a row, you go hide for a little bit and recoup and like, fuck, what just happened? Because like, it was crazy. It got crazy. I stabbed somebody and then somebody shooting. I was like, and he died. And
then
I
ran.
And then you run into a corner and you're like, shit. And you reload and you're like,
yeah, right.
So you're hanging out right there. And all of a sudden you're like, you can't come out of the corner and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then all of a sudden, like, you're just dead.
Yeah, right.
And then you watch the kill cam,
right.
and there was an invisible dude that has learned how to hack the system. And he's now invisible,
that's bullshit.
Standing in front of you, humping your face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
And then they just stab you. Then he got down as like all the way on the ground, looking up at my dick, and put the crosshairs on my dick.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there like. And I'm like, why can't I get out of this corner?
Yeah, right.
And then he's like, he throws his knife at my dick and kills me.
What a fucking asshole.
And then I'm like, I watched, that was on the kill cam.
Yeah,
so that's what he was doing.
Yeah, that's cheating. That is cheating.
Yeah, so they're cheating. And I don't know what to say to these guys because all you can do is like message them like, hey, fucker.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, right.
They don't give a shit.
I'm going to verbally chastise you now with
it's like
impotent
it's a 12-year-old.
You can hack that game and become invincible and invisible.
Right.
No one can see you. You just walk around and walk right up to people like that are freaking out, like, looking for people and like.
It takes all the fun out of it,
and
though.
just shoot them.
It takes all the fun out of it,
Yeah,
though.
and I just usually message them people like, why do you even play?
Why do you do this? Right.
Is this fun? Because we're trying to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's feeling of invincibility, but the novelty of that wears off very quickly. I mean, one of the things that happened when the password thing came out and when people could, start trading around save game files and things like that and make it like way further in the game, it takes the fucking fun out of the game. The Game Genie, you remember when the Game Genie came out?
Yeah.
It made it so people could actually fuck with the code and give themselves invincibility and shit.
I figured out, who these people are. They're people like me that can't take it. And
That's
like,
what it is.
Hack this
exactly.
fucker. And I'm start fuck people's face. Fuck you. You know what I mean?
Because you would do it if you knew how to do it, man. You would do it.
Fuck you, nooby tuber. You know where the fuck?
You know what though? I think
fuck
that's
your mom, because that's their names. They always have like
fuck your mom,
like
fuck your
herb 420, in a pot leaf. Somehow they made somehow they got pot leaf in their name.
How did they get that?
Like, how the fuck do you do that?
I don't even know. Yeah,
hacker.
Exactly. They're fucking hackers. And as much as anything, I mean, I think that's part of the reason why it became such a disgrace to admit that you were a camper was because really the camper is one step away from being a fucking hacker and a cheater because they're desperate and they're trying to do something to try to like gird themselves against getting killed. So you're just, the run and gun was considered a valorous, that was considered to be like the manly way of playing video games if there is such a thing.
So on this map they'll end up being, I usually fall in like there's 8 people in the map,
Right.
And I've won some matches, but I think that it was probably against some people like cats. Maybe some cats were playing with their controllers on accident because some people are just running around in circles looking at the ceiling. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like I'm in like a kindergarten class right now. And
right.
Like,
it's the cat walking down the piano, and wow, that sounds like fucking Rachmaninoff's Third Concerto. How is that even possible?
Yeah, and so that sometimes I win. I'm like, yes, fuck you guys. Fuck you, little girl 12.
Exactly. Congratulations, you just defeated some quadrupeds. Marvelous work.
But most of the time, I'm like, almost last, and it reminds you during the game, we're taking a beating, and it's saying all these army things, and like, we're being beaten.
Yeah,
it's like, no shit, this happens all the time. We're not going to win the mission.
It's not going to happen.
We're failing the mission.
Yeah,
because you're supposed to kill everybody else.
Right.
And anyway, what usually happens is the score is like I got like 22 kills, and I got killed like 29 times.
Right. Your death to kill ratio is little,
and then you hope that you're not because then there's always somebody on the map that's got 30 kills and like 2 deaths.
Yeah, it just makes you mad.
That means that they're just really good.
They're really good.
I've watched it before from their point of view, the whole because it records every single match.
Yeah, of course.
And I went back and watched everything they did, and I was like,
how are they that good?
They're really just that good.
That's insane.
They're really that good.
That's insane.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're that good, and then on top of it, these dudes that are that good, the last kill when they go to do their 30th kill, what they do is they jump up and spin in the air and then shoot you as they're spinning.
That's nuts.
Okay, so that's their little thing that they do on Call of Duty to really. And then if I'm usually the guy on the last kill cam, fucking shooting at the ceiling while this guy's spinning around, smacking me with his dick, and then like shoots me in the face.
That's insane.
And I'm like, thanks everybody had to see that. It says Shred Hammer.
Yeah, right.
That's who you are. You're Shred Hammer, and this guy's fucking totally like jumped up in a circle like this and shot you as he was spinning.
That's the wind up and punch you in the face. Being a fucking asshole.
And I'm like shooting the floor. Doing this.
That's what you get for camping.
I don't know who Shred Hammer is, but he sucks. Yeah, I think, dude, you know that all the Grand Theft stuff.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It freaks me out. I start to get really kind of creeped out.
Like, do you have those games?
Listen, man, I'm self-employed, so sometimes I just don't work for like 3 days.
Yeah, just like
while you guys are fucking slaving away, I haven't even got out of my pajamas. For 3, like during the winter, that happens sometimes where I don't have any work. I just fucking play video games all day.
Right.
I haven't played the new Grand Theft. Is that good?
Listen, I don't know about is there a brand new one? Because I usually wait for them to be out for about a year and get them used for
Yeah, I think
I'm behind. I like to stay behind the curve so that unless it's like something I have to have like Madden.
Right.
Anyway. But yeah, so what was I talking about?
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. I'll play that game. I'll play that Grand Theft Auto game and for hours. And you could just get in any car you want on there.
Right.
You press triangle and you grab the dude, you throw him out on the ground and take their car.
Right.
And so then you just gun it, run into crash and just run people over, shoot people on the street as you're driving by.
Now when you leave the house, sometimes you think to yourself, I'm just gonna fucking hit triangle on this dude.
My whole thing was I like to see how long I could live with 5 stars. That means the military's after you.
Oh Jesus.
Okay, so like it starts out with like a street cop will like try to stop you if he sees you, or a cop will turn the cherries on.
Right.
But and then there'll be 2 stars, and that means they're coming to arrest.
Right.
And then the 3rd star, that means the FBI is after you, right, or something like that.
Right.
FBI. So now it's like vans with guys in black.
Oh Jesus.
And then 4 stars, it gets in worse. But 5 stars means they bring tanks.
Holy fuck.
They bring tanks and fucking the military's coming. The helicopters are shooting at you, and they're coming out on ropes. You know what I mean? And if you could find a place to camp,
yeah, right,
you could get 5 stars and wipe out the entire military almost. And, just sit there and if you know enough cheat codes, you can get enough bazooka shots to blow the helicopters out of the sky.
That's
it's
insane,
like,
dude.
You're not taking me, motherfuckers! And then all of a sudden it's like, I need to go get guitar strings.
Yeah, right.
I need guitar strings and some milk. And you go out to your car and you're like,
he's looking around.
Man, that car looks more fun to take right there. Yeah. And then when you see them trailers, don't tell me, man, you see the trailers with the ramp where you can drive a car up onto it.
Right.
Oh, you want to jump that really bad.
Yeah. See, I get that one from playing fucking Mario Kart. Okay. Whenever I see those car carriers that are empty, I always think, ooh, that's a ramp. I'll just,
it's tempting me.
I'll just jump that car.
Well, you know what, you guys, we've as you can tell if you're watching Minor Disturbance Radio right now, that we've kind of went off of our format, which is no format. So I'm really glad to see that the last episode 25 had a couple hundred more views when it came out and stuff, and I really appreciate that, because I kind of want to go back to just being a podcast that we can do whatever we want. I got kind of caught up in the whole trying to please the people in the scene. Yeah. And try to get to I guess in a way I was trying to infiltrate more people by going through other bands, because I know that when you promote something like that, people are more likely to tell their friends about, hey, they're talking nice about me, so that, hey, this and that. And not to say that I don't like the people that we have on the show.
Right.
But I kind of feel cheap trying to make people watch a show that they wouldn't watch if their buddy's band wasn't on it.
Sure.
Wow.
See what I'm saying? And I'm here to sell a podcast.
Right.
And not a, promoting local musicians thing. And that's what it turned into. But I'm not against that. I'm just saying if that comes up, I'll be more than happy to do that. But I don't want that to be the focus, central thing.
It was nice to expose some of those bands and get some, exposure. But to promote that all the time.
I would rather be part of more of what we'd consider like maybe a men's club or a place for to kind of relax and listen because we're all men and just act like you're sitting at the table with us and
take a mental vacation with us.
Yeah. Somebody raised an interesting point. And I've been kind of thinking about it because, we've broached the subject actually already, which is, the competitive spirit, obviously the competitive spirit of playing video games, the competitive spirit of being identified with a football team. And I know in the past we've also in music kind of talked about the competitive spirit of trying to get your band going and trying to make it be as good as it can be, maybe better than something else you see out there and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of about how maybe that competitive spirit sometimes can negatively influence something else that you're trying to do, and how that competitive spirit really is more like kind of a game of the young. When you make the transition between being an athlete and being a commentator, somebody posed this idea to me, during the week is, as you get older and you find that you don't find yourself able, for whatever reason, may not necessarily be for, to extend the metaphor, to have to get out because your body is ailing. That isn't necessarily the only reason why you would go from being an athlete to a commentator. But I'm saying, I'm saying that it's about how it is you make the transition from letting go of your identity of being a competitive person toward being the sort of person that really is just there as an observer, who has an awareness about and some expertise in what it is that we're watching, and how you can bring everybody else along. Like, let's just say Brian Miner, the guitar player, or Brian Miner, the
we're going deep. We're talking about
the rock entertainer. You know what I mean? The rock entertainer versus, how you're trying to find how to make the podcast really work, and what identity is really at work when you do the podcast.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I kind of feel like the ego kind of took control of it, because everybody wants to be successful at what they do. I mean, who doesn't want to be like, hey, because my whole life's been like that. I don't know what everybody else's life has been like, but some people are successful and some people aren't. And most things that I've tried in my life have failed. And every time I keep trying to do something, then I'm not doing it for any other reason other than I love doing it.
Right.
And that's what everybody always tells you. They always say, hey, do what you love and the wallet will follow. I've heard people say that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? You're fucking right. As long as you're doing what you love, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter as much.
But it still felt good to see that many views. I mean, when I look at the YouTube channel, there's an average of about 1,000 views a month. Because they're not just watching one episode, they're back watching the other ones too. And some people can't watch them all. So, but 1,000 views a month is fucking unheard of. For me, I didn't think that would happen.
Sure.
So that builds you, that kind of validates you, and you're like, okay, some people are getting this. But then you could have your pride injured if you see it go the other way at all. You start thinking, oh, they're tired of it. It's over, man. Here we go.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, and most of my life has been that.
Right.
So with this, I can't let the ego get in the way so that I set myself up to be let down.
Sure.
You got to I'm just going into it naturally.
I just figured we were testing waters. That's all we're doing. That's why
I got addicted to that rush. I got addicted to seeing how many views we could get. I wanted to see if we could break a certain amount of views.
Oh, and I did too.
And, because that's how you do stuff. You promote.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, though, with this podcast, it's going to be people that find it.
Yeah.
And hear about it maybe from their friends, and then they join the club that way. Because I think that saying, hey, check out Minor Disturbance Radio, there's a lot of people that aren't going to get this.
Sure.
No.
They're not going to get the first 5 minutes of it. They're going to be like, I should be jacking off right now.
Yeah,
you guys are taking up my jack time. Because some people don't have time. They don't have time to just sit and listen to anything. Yeah. And I get that. I get that.
But part of it is like it's less about whether or not they're successful or not. I think it's more about what your relationship is with knowing that. How knowing that drives your what you're going to do next.
Look, I'm just being open with everybody.
Sure, and that's the best way you can be. And
I'm just saying that everybody that listens to MDR really kind of owns stock in it too with me, because it's not just me. If you listen to it, you tell people that, hey, I think that's cool, and once you admit that, then you're admitting that you like Brian Miner, and some people just don't want to relinquish that. They don't want to be like on board with it because they're not doing it.
Right.
That's how this area has always been. If somebody tries to do something, there's always these other people trying to pull you back in.
I think that.
What are you trying to do? Don't try to get out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't try to get out of here. Don't try to do something above everybody else. It's not that. It's just like, I'm going to take my swing. Right.
Sure.
Like the guys in Cheese Pizza, they did their thing. They were super successful at it. They made tons of money. They were successful at it. No band could compare to that draw. Right. They win. They did it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wow, cool. I never had a chance to do that. I've never done something that ended up being gratifying, where other people are like, I agree. I like this.
But it means you got to change gears, though. You know what I mean? You got to change gears.
Right, and I have.
Because it's like, I saw this motivational little clip of, pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was at his height as a bodybuilder. But then you listen to this, this monologue that he's doing over the top of this footage of him. And he's like, everybody told me I was a meathead and that I could never be an actor and that, my voice was ununderstandable, and I had this terrible accent and all of this sort of stuff. But once I changed gears, it certainly meant that I had to let go of the bodybuilding thing in certain ways. Yeah. But in order to pursue this other thing, I had to change gears, Well,
let me just tell the listeners where I'm at as far as this whole minor disturbance thing. And, I wanted to be a rock star really bad. That, everybody does, right? Yeah. Who doesn't want to be a rock star?
Yeah.
And before that, I wanted to be a professional football player. There's big, unattainable goals, right? And, I'm still in a point, my ego has been damaged, because I'm still in the process of putting my guns down.
Yeah.
And trying to be cool with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, the other day I got a call from the light guy for Cheese Pizza. And he asked me if I wanted to be in Cheese Pizza again. Now, this was totally before they asked Lee. If anybody knows the background on that, Lee and I had a falling out. That's why I'm not in the band anymore. But so they asked me, and this was apparently they didn't clear it with Lee before they asked me. But
I see.
So I had that in my mind. I'm like, well, okay, I could go out and play my guitar and make a lot of money.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Just to be, easy. And then I'm like, do I really want to do that anymore?
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of me went, yes, you do. Because the Brian that plays rock and roll music.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
And if you don't, then what's happening to that Brian Miner that I know?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess my point is that I'm not going to do that.
Oh. Yeah.
And I'm pretty content playing once a month, singing 80s hair metal songs.
Okay. That's really what I was getting at,
Yeah, I'm really content with that. But you're still watching somebody that's adjusting to the notion that, hey, it ain't going to happen for me. And I'm not the only one in this world. There's other people out there that listen to the show that have gone through the same thing or are going through the same thing.
And went on to do a lot of good because of the, not in spite of, but because of the experiences they had, Right. It's like, that's not the, is the Boomer Esiason that we know a football player or is he a commentator? You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I was getting
Michael
at.
Strahan.
Yeah.
Anyway,
when they make that transition, once you cut ties, the best thing to do is to figure out how to channel that change in perspective.
Sure.
And it's tough though. I know
that's
it's hard.
My thing. Well, you're going to see that in this, and I think that's kind of like people like it when people are open like that and honest.
It's the best.
Vulnerable.
It's the best.
And vulnerable, yeah.
That's right.
Vulnerable.
You know what I mean?
Here. I went Saturday night to, we played Saturday night up at Rascals Dive Bomb, and
that's terrific.
I can do that once a month. That's why, just go do that sometimes and remind myself that I can still rock.
Well, you need that,
and then come back home and be a father. And anyway, so Saturday night after the gig, see, part of the cool thing about that night too was there was somebody that I look up to there, Tony from Three Is Hollow.
Oh.
He's been around the scene. He knows me. He's the one that called me and said, you need to be singing 80s hair metal stuff with Third Rail. He's the one that got me that gig.
Oh, really?
Okay.
He used to be the drummer for that band.
Tony did?
Third Rail. Yeah, Tony used to be the drummer for Third Rail.
I did not know that.
Way back in the day.
Wow.
So, and he quit that to go do the 3 Years Hollow thing. He got more serious about his original music. And now they're signed and they're on the road and they're doing their thing. Anyway, he was there and we sat on on their tour bus for a while and talked business because I'm so proud of him. I'm like, dude, you're on the fucking ride, man. And he doesn't act like it. He's like, oh, no. We got some work to do. And he told me about the businessman. And when he described what it really is to make it now. Yeah. I'm like, there's no way. And I looked and I asked him, I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling. I asked him, because I'm like, dude, I've always wanted to go on the road. It's always been a dream of mine to be like, to just fucking pull up anchor and just, live like a vagabond.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? I never had a chance to do that.
Be a fucking gypsy.
And that's what they're doing. Different towns, different. And he said, you'd be amazed how hard it is. And sitting there on the bus, it was just me and him. The girls had walked off and everybody kind of went outside to do something. And it was just him and I on the bus and it was dark. And we kind of stopped talking. I looked around and I'm like, we could be at a gig right now. Just waiting to, load out and get our shit and go drive to the next. We got another. And I was going through it in my head, like, imagine you're in this bus and you're on tour with them. Yeah. Now we got to drive to New Jersey from, somewhere 3 or 4 hours away, and then show up there, hang out in the parking lot, wait for shit to happen. Meanwhile, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
There's no daughter, son, wife, nothing. And you're just out there. And I really, at that moment, just kind of went, there's no fucking way I could do this.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. And once I realized that there's no way that I could, even if they said, Brian, fucking, you have to be in our band and be the new, other guitar player.
All right.
I can't.
Yeah.
Sorry. I can't. Oh. Sorry. There's just no way I'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
Unless you said you could take your family with you and you make this much money a year. And
right.
I guess, do people understand what I'm saying?
I do. I totally get
that dream. I guess what I'm saying is that dream that I've been chasing after, I kind of realized that it's not a dream that I really want.
Oh, yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah, anymore.
Right. There's
and had I done it when I wanted to do it, I'd be dead.
Well,
the person that still thinks he might want that thing is not somebody who's entirely dead. You know what I mean? That person is still living inside of
that's part
your
of
mind.
you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, he's not that person is not the one that has the most power over your actions anymore.
Well, you had that, didn't you? And was there a point where you had to kind of put down your guns and make that agreement with yourself that, hey, I'm not going to pursue that anymore?
That's exactly what I had to do. And I mean, there was the support of the people that were around me, helped me through that. But that's exactly what I had to do.
The reason why we didn't do a podcast last time is because I was kind of in one of them moods where I was, why am I even trying this shit? Why am I trying to be in front of people? Why am I setting myself up for this? Yeah. What is it? Am I trying to prove to myself that I'm important or something?
Yeah, right.
And I had to remind myself the reason I do this is because I love doing it. I love talking.
You can tell everybody it's because I wasn't here.
Yeah, that's right.
That makes you feel better, don't it?
We talked about this a little bit just sitting here because we wanted to watch a documentary together and we decided not to do a podcast and we wanted to watch something. And I brought this up to you and you said something to me that he's like, you ever that old guy that's at the party and he's like the dude that's not supposed to be there because he's old and everybody's like, why is this old guy here?
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want to be that guy. And I was like, I don't feel like that guy, but neither does that guy, does he?
That's right. That's why he's there. He's oblivious to the fact that he no longer has a dog in that hunt. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's weird because, I mean, the real successes that you have when you're young, being in that situation and being properly there isn't something really that you want anymore as an older guy. Your tastes change.
But it's been my identity since I picked up the guitar.
Yeah.
Right. I think that people understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks they're going to be a rock star. So they want to. They pick up the guitar and go, it's really that easy?
Yeah.
You just put one of these on and hit a few chords and then you're done, man. You're on your way, right?
Yeah. I mean, you remember the first time you heard that power chord with a properly distorted amplifier and it just electrified your soul.
Yeah. So what we ended up watching was, and I've been trying to get my hands, I talked about it on the last episode, is that Waking Up Dead.
Yeah.
That Phil Varone documentary thing.
Yeah, very revealing.
Very revealing. And basically what it did was, Skid Row's Rob Affuso quit, I guess because he had his fill of this right in their prime, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, right after Slave to the Grind or whatever, didn't he quit then?
So after
Subhuman. Anyway, they were still kind of an arena band, and Robert Fuse was like, I don't like touring. And quits. Yeah. Quits the big dog. Who fucking quits Skid Row, man? You idiot.
Somebody who figured something out.
Yeah. That's so he just disappears. He goes, I'm done with that. And then Phil Varone, who was the drummer for Saigon Kick.
Yeah.
That had a slight hit there. Anyway, so it's a documentary team that follows him around as he joins Skid Row, who is now going out on tour opening for Kiss on their farewell tour. So he went from nothing, basically, he was in between bands, to being the drummer for Skid Row, who was on the bill direct support for Kiss, touring the entire globe.
Right.
And playing huge shows. Because it's the farewell tour. So, and he talks about how that is, and what it's like to be, how to be in that circus and how you can do anything that you want. And how it's all there.
But you also get a portrait of what it is that he gave up relationships-wise in order to have that.
I was getting to that.
Yeah. And that's the part of it.
I was getting to that.
No, sorry.
You ruined it.
I know. I always get ahead of you. I'm very sorry.
I love that interview. Anyway.
So anyway.
That was our claim to fame. We were so high on that.
Yeah.
Me and Covert were like, dude, we're so fucking taking over, man. We're gonna interview Jason McMaster.
Yeah.
So, but you see the impact that choosing that life had on his relationship to his wife, and the fact that he doesn't really get to see his daughter grow up, and he's also painfully addicted to feel good drugs, and doesn't seem to be making the kind of emotional progress that a person of his age and intelligence should be making. And
well, that's what I was getting to is I saw that documentary and watching him. They show their dressing room and what it's really like on the road. And that's what I liked about it. It was a documentary crew that went with him. And he would say, okay, this is where I try to score, a little action before the show. And we scope for girls. And they show the kind of girls.
Like it was no holds barred.
No. Well, you should see the girls that he's... Well, the whole rock star...
They didn't...
What I'm trying to say is when you pull the curtain back and you see what's really going on, it's not that great, dude. It's almost kind of pathetic.
Yeah. It is.
And my point is the big dream that you think of, like, you're gonna okay, here it is. You think being a rock star is you show up in the limousine, you get out of the limousine, people take pictures of you and scream at you as you walk on the red carpet into the venue, okay? And then you go into the venue and everybody's, what can we get you, Mr. Miner? Blah 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 blah. Oh my God, Mr. Miner's here. Anything? Anything? What do you need? Fuck, give me this and that and blah blah. And then showtime. They push you out and and you go blah. Thank you. Good night. And then you fucking go to your dressing room where they have like 8 naked girls that are already having sex together and taking showers in champagne and shit, and then you just don't even want to have sex with them because you're like, I've got a song to write, whatever it is that you're dreaming of.
Right.
So that's not how it is.
No.
It's you wait, you sit in your jail cell backstage. And you pace, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and then maybe you snab up a few crackheads.
Yeah, right.
That are like waiting around, scabby-looking chicks that are just waiting to suck your dick. Because guess what? They're classy women.
Yeah.
It's really kind of scary, dude.
Yeah.
What do you like to do? I like to party. They're all like this, like, I like to suck dicks,
Wow.
Them girls.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And you're like, all right, To me, I'd be like, I want to go home.
Exactly.
I want to go home and see my wife because she's like hot. And it's just more comfortable being with a woman that you're comfortable with instead of some. It shows them going into the bathroom with them and like just leaning against the wall, like, what do you want?
It's
like, really?
He knows it's pathetic too. He's smart enough to know it's pathetic. And part of I think that. The kind of difference between what the reality of it is and how his identity had built it up to be this thing that he wanted so much that he just was willing to be completely fucking irrational about it.
Yeah.
In order to keep himself not noticing how fucked up the whole thing is, that's why he has to do all the drugs.
I guess
that's why you got to do all the drugs, man.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I've never done cocaine in my life, so I don't know what it does for a person, but
it definitely it changes your perspective for sure, but not in the kind of way where you become aware of things. It's really more like you become aware that your dick is hard. You know what I mean? Like, you become aware of your quest to try to make your body feel good, and your body feels amazing, and you want to make it feel even better. And when your body feels great, then you don't have to think about things. You don't have to have worries. You don't have to.
All I'm saying is I'm sorry, Jeff. All I'm saying is that kid that was in my bedroom when I picked up the guitar and I kind of started figuring it out, and I was on that rush, and it was all wide open. It was brand new and it was magic, and I was figuring out songs, and I was like, wow. And people were saying, you're pretty good. And then you're moving on, pretty soon you're in a band.
Right.
And then you got a bass player and a drummer at your house in your bedroom.
Yeah.
And you're like making music together.
And it sounds like music.
And it kind of sounds like, and you're like, this is, and everything, all the pores in your body are just open and just like taking it in and loving it. And it's magic, magic, magic.
Yep.
I don't feel that anymore.
Yeah. No.
And not that I don't like it anymore. It's just like, it's a different thing now.
Yeah. How much of it was really the experience of doing it versus how much of it was just the sheer newness of it, the novelty of it. You know what I mean?
Well, well, and you're not that young anymore. I mean, life has changed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just. It's not that you don't like it still.
So here's the comparison. I'll go back to the conversation between me and my brother. Okay.
All right.
Air Force, retired now.
Right.
Me, still playing in a band, long hair, 41. He'll say to me that, the road you took has its merit too.
It does.
Don't give up, man.
Yeah.
You're fucking good. Do it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Awesome.
And then I tell him stories of, this one gig, we were hanging out with so-and-so, and he's like, oh, cool, man. That's really cool. He digs it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I am being a little bitch, you know what I mean? It's like, goddamn, this was pretty fun, you know?
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I paid a price for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
that kind of goes with the territory being driven to do anything, I mean, you always, no matter what your latest achievement was, it always, stands as a contrast to what it is where you think you ought to be and where it is you're trying to get to, Well, you can never really quite, if you became satisfied, then your drive is to do what?
Well, you always think that grass is greener somewhere else anyway.
There is that, too. Yeah. There is that, too.
I mean, then it is, but is it? Really?
Yeah, you don't know.
You're talking to somebody that this was my grass. There was no grass was greener somewhere else. This was going to be my life, period, and everything had to revolve around it. Like, if a girl didn't like it, she was gone.
Right.
If a job wanted me to cut my hair, I couldn't have that job.
Right, yeah.
That I based my life on it.
Yeah.
And paid dues in some areas that, like, hey, if I'd cut my hair, I could have had a nice job and a cush
If I could have got drug tested, then, man, I'd be, working at the Arsenal.
That's what I'm saying. So you have to, cut your hair to work here. I'm like, that's kind of like cutting my nuts off to me.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't know why, but for some reason, I just can't cut my fucking hair off. I don't want to. My wife would kill me, first of all. Some days I don't. It's always in a ponytail most of the time. It's like, but I remind myself sometimes, like, oh yeah, people are looking at me like, he needs to cut his hair. He's fucking 40, whatever years old. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, well, fuck you. I'm me, and I'm going to have a ponytail. And
that's how I look.
Yeah, so fuck you.
Yeah, yeah. And every now and again, I'll see some dude that's got hair, about like your length and stuff, and it's all completely gray, like completely white. And I always think the same thing. I always think, that's a bad motherfucker right there. I do.
Jerry Smith, man, the bass player from Drop Hammer, will not dye his hair, and it is almost white.
That's awesome, dude. And he's going to look like fucking Gandalf the Grey, dude.
Yeah,
he's a wizard.
He's a real man. He fucking don't care. He's just like, I'm not dyeing it.
Yeah,
come on, excellent, man. The whole point of the whole thing I was talking about was, you lose the magic. You kind of lose the vision. You pull the curtains back. You see the inner workings. You lose. You're like, shit. Well, fuck. Now I know. You've seen Santa Claus without a suit on. Basically, and it's got to be like that with movie makers too, because with just a little amount of editing that I've done or trying to put together videos and things like this, and then I watch Davo, who does a bunch of really professional, videos and really makes music videos and shit. I said video. It seems like I've said video a lot.
You did. Just say video a bunch.
Damn, that irritated me. Anyway, so he does these videos, and they're really good. There's a word again. And I watch it, and I think, how did he get that shot? And then now I can't watch a movie without going, wow, that camera came from way up there and then came all the way down, floated in front of the person, and then they said something. Yeah. Like that shot must have been awesome, you know, to do. And then now I can't even watch movies right. I'm like, shit, it's starting to get in the middle of this
what happens. That's what happens, man. It's the same thing that happens to us having done audio recordings, happens when you start to get into cinematography and you start to look at photography and how it is that things have to be shot.
What actors would make you guarantee that you're going to watch a movie?
There's not one actor I have to go watch.
No, there are some actors that if a movie is good movie, I feel like it is in spite of their performance. There are some actors that I just do not much care for. Keanu Reeves probably being
what do you
one
mean?
Of the heads of the list.
What do you mean it's time to go?
Right, yeah.
That guy?
Yeah. Mind over matter, okay.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill?
I don't know. You know, I mean, that's
I could do that.
I can't. Yeah. I mean, but although speaking to Keanu, like I kind of feel like Winona Ryder is kind of like the female version of Keanu in that respect. I don't think she can act her way out of a fucking box. But they're both in Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that's a cool movie because Gary Oldman is so fucking good in that.
I just watched a movie, and it was Dallas Buyers Club.
Oh yeah, okay. Holy shit, Matthew McConaughey. Fuck, dude.
That dude was on point.
Oh yes,
in that movie. If you get a chance, I know that the subject's kind of weird, but God, that dude's a good fucking actor.
He is a really great actor.
Plus, he looked like he was fucking dying of AIDS.
He did that shit.
I know he did that for real.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if Casino's ever on TV, I'm watching it.
Casino?
Oh, De Niro is badass in that movie.
Yeah. Well, De Niro and obviously Nicholson. I mean, Nicholson is one of those guys that you watch him and you think to yourself, this dude is a macho motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like this.
No, De Niro was wearing like peach coats and shit, like peach pants. If I wore that anywhere, it'd be like, what the fuck is Miner doing? He's thinking he can wear a peach suit. You know what I mean? You feel that way because you got to have the bravado to go with it.
But both De Niro and Nicholson, both those dudes, manly men for sure. But at the same time, then they'll do something that'll just completely surprise you. Their range as actors will just totally surprise you.
Well, he didn't meet the Fockers, and then it was funny because he's supposed to be such a hard ass, but he's being like, "Can you milk me?
Sure.
Yeah. Could you milk me?
Sure."
It's classic De Niro, but it's still like
or analyze this, context, analyze this.
Oh yeah,
analyze that. Now, did you see the one
that was great,
that Nicholson did with Adam Sandler called Anger Management?
Yeah.
Dude, I actually liked that movie. I thought that was pretty good, man. I love Nicholson's character in it.
The first go around, I could not watch it, and I usually like to if I find that with even a music or movie, I try to go back and watch it again because sometimes it marinates a little bit. Sure. I end up liking it.
Sure.
I haven't watched it again.
Yeah, there are some movies.
I did not like it.
Did you fucking see Gene Simmons in Runaway with Tom Selleck?
You know what? You know what's funny though?
No. Hold on.
Runaway. Tom Selleck. Cynthia Rhodes.
You can't get away now, Ramsey. Yeah, that's my Gene Simmons.
You know what, man? I kind of liked some of those sweaty scenes where he was just brutal and shit. I thought he was good in it.
He was good because
I liked it,
and he had the gun that shot the rockets that would chase your ass and find you and blow you to fuck up.
That's the first one he did, right?
Yeah, and then they had the little things that injected you with poison.
What they were, it was wild. They were like these robotic spider type creatures, but they made them look like the little dual inline package little chips that you find and stuff. They look like little op amps, so it was kind of cool, man. I liked Runaway. That was a cool movie.
Yeah.
And then he ends up being at that tower at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That was
one of the gets eaten by his own. The first one down.
Yes, right.
When he comes down, he's supposed to get killed by these robots and stuff.
Yeah.
But Gene somehow they Tom
reprogram it.
Wins it, and the bugs come get him and they shoot him in the neck, and
then he drives off.
And you're going, that's the bass player for Kiss, fucking getting killed by robotic little things.
Yeah. Set on him by Magnum PI.
That's it. And that doesn't even compare to the one where he played like a transsexual or something.
Never Too Young to Die or something with John Stamos.
What?
Yeah.
No, never saw it.
And who's the actress? Is that Vanity?
Some movies I like because they're bad. There are movies that I like just because they're bad. I mean, put on a bad movie. Like Big Trouble in Little China. Kurt Russell's fucking terrible in that movie. Everything he says sounds like he's imitating the Duke. I mean, everything, dude. I just want to shoot him in the face. But the movie is so awesome. I love that movie.
Return of the Living Dead.
Which one is that one?
Help me bolt the door, stupid fuckers!
Is that the one? Is that the one with the punker dude who's like, get the fuck up? You think this is a fucking costume?
I like it spooky.
I mean, I got something to say, you know.
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
Oh, yes.
Got the the Rick James looking black guy with the he's wearing like he's got the belts and shit. He looks like he just got done playing.
He looks like he was in a Beat It video.
Right? Yeah.
Where the fuck you going? Help me by the door, stupid fuckers!
Send more medics.
That's right, dude. You got the fucking midget.
And I just remember when they had the girl on the table, the zombie. That's right. There was just her spine dripping shit.
Yeah.
She still had titties.
That's right, dude.
And even the dead, decomposing titties of the kid, I was like, oh.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That kind of
and it wasn't even real titties. Boner. It was like clay or something, probably. Right, and I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom. Speaking of which, man. Speaking of which, one more subject, and then we'll probably close the show. But talk about icons from our childhood. I mean, when you think about like porn back when I was coming into the 20s and shit
I see what you did there.
When I was coming into that era where you're starting to pay attention to porn stars and stuff.
I thought you were going to say into that gym sock.
The biggest star was Jenna Jameson, right?
Mm-hmm. She brought it real mainstream.
I mean, you're
a late bloomer.
Yeah.
You're a late bloomer, man. She wasn't even in the game when I was first getting on some porn.
Well, I'm not saying that's the first time. I'm just saying the name that I saw like take over, and I saw it happen as she came into the scene and was like, oh, that girl's, and then all of a sudden it's like everybody agrees, oh yes, and then pretty soon she's this big thing, right, and so she's on a reality show now called Couples Therapy. And she is a fucking mess.
Really?
Oh my god, I always looked at her as the one that got in porn and got in that business and made it happen and did okay,
right?
And came out kind of okay.
Yeah, right. No.
She's got butt implants. She looks ridiculous, man. I don't even think that I could even fuck her.
Like a robot or just weird shape.
She put in these like implants in her butt so they stick out, like they almost come out straight out.
Right,
like, it looks horrible. She's had so much plastic surgery she don't even look like a person anymore.
Oh, that's terrible.
What is your motivation to get back in the doing porn? Because I know you're doing the webcam thing now.
Well, my motivation is taking care of my family and having fun and meeting all my fans.
That's awesome.
It's good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
You can get a back shot now.
Oh,
yeah,
I love
I'm
it.
thinking, I'm like, she's not hot anymore.
I am what I am.
Why is he trying to like wait for her to overdose on something so he can take that money?
Yeah.
Because he's a younger guy,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put up with that for fucking. Yeah. I was like, fuck you and your money.
But it's weird social climbery type shit. I mean, it's trying to dress to impress with it in every dimension.
I'm thinking, what could you love about her? Everybody's fucked her. You could go watch a film of somebody like gagging her with their huge cock. You know what I mean? And like everybody could like look at that. Yeah. There's no way that you could be like, she's mine and I love her.
Nope.
It was like, oh yeah, well watch this. I'll just dial this up on my phone real quick. Like, hey, what do you think of that?
He loved her too.
But these two guys were really loving her.
Yeah. But I mean, it must be for some superficial reason. That's the only thing that makes sense. It must be. They must not actually be connecting with each other. I mean,
nothing against. I mean, if that's your choice and you're that open. I guess I'm just a little bit too Midwest about it because I'd have a hard time with people having, even a picture of my old lady naked. If you knew that some ex-boyfriend had like some backstock, pictures of her naked and shit, you're like,
I'm gonna burn those pictures and your house down. But no, I think it kind of speaks to how it is that fame and fortune themselves become barriers to intimacy. You can't trust anyone because everyone has an ulterior motive. Yeah. Everybody does. Or even if they don't, you're going to constantly be looking for that. You're going to be looking for what their excuse is for cozying up to you, because it can't possibly be because of who you are on the inside. They can't get close to that. You can't just let people get close to you. Otherwise, they'll manipulate you, and you're constantly on guard against that. I think that's one of the things that when we watched that documentary was kind of one of the recurring themes with him and all of the people that he was dealing with, was that everyone has this other motive for trying to get together. So nobody really gets together. Their bodies get together, but their like their souls or whatever you want to say, like the deeper part of them never really touches. It's all just fucking masturbating with each other's bodies.
Nice.
Thank you.
Wow, that was deep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you're welcome for that.
That was beautiful.
You're welcome for that.
Episode 26 of Minor Disturbance Radio. Man, that was weird, wasn't it? See, I thought the last one was weird, but it's just starting to sprout now.
I'm starting to get ramped up now.
Yeah.
Watch out, dude. You were apologizing for rambling earlier. You're a fucking dabbler at rambling.
Oh. Wow.
I've said more endless sentences that nobody gave a shit about than probably anyone in the history of humanity, including that sentence I just said. Yeah, here.
All the credits, episode 26.
Sign off. Bye.